early regionalists come and gone here. 511 duelists duked it out, actually into a pretty diverse top cut breakdown, and that's saying something for the format. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now, for ratios and everything here, this is what a duelist reached out to me and put together. A couple of these lists came from Carlancho. A couple of the lists, when we look at them here, I don't have sources for, but I'll try to link back what I can find on the internet here. But we had 2 tier element decks and 2 sprite decks in Top Cut. I'm not surprised about that, to say the very least, considering the fact that those 2 have been the absolute titans in the format. Yeah, it's just how it's been. Now, we had 1 sprite tier element deck that was, I believe, 2nd place. Yeah, it was a 2nd place list that didn't actually have any info on it. So there's that. And then 7th place was a branded Eldritch deck, which I don't have any info on that either. But the fact that, you know, branded Eldritch still maintains, you know, some sort of value tree out here, it's kind of very, very interesting. Just looking at the format and seeing it go. Now, one of the most interesting things out of this Top Cut was a Sword Soul player managed to run it back across the table here. Now, Sword Soul has been struggling for, honestly, a little while here. I want to be more optimistic and be like, yeah, I want to see more Sword Soul. I really do, because, like, the deck was such a titan for so long, but it just went off into the wayside and just rode off into the sunset, which was actually a really sad thing to see the deck just kind of disappear. But it looks like it might still be able to hold on. And we also had a Mystic Mine Burn deck make its way into Top Cut as well. For 511 players, for a Mystic Mine Burn strategy to make it into Top Cut, that is definitely something, nothing short of a miracle, to say the least here. But 511 players, that's a pretty generic breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pass on over to some of those top deck lists. All right, the first deck list we're going to be looking at here is a Sprite Runic deck. Now, we've seen Sprite Runic in the past actually kind of show up, take people by storm, and a lot of people are like, wow, you want a generic reason as to why Ipreya might be going up in price? Well, this is one of the decks that ended up taking advantage of Ipreya's draw effect. Whether or not, you know, however it touches the field or is summoned, you're going to get that draw effect, all right? Like, that's very important. You'll also notice, like, within the confines of the Runic engine, all of these lists just play the 1 Runic field spell. You're still going to use, you know, obviously, like, the rest of your generic Runic cards to, you know, devastate the opponent and take away their option tree. Another interesting thing about this list here is I see that we are playing Eradicator Epidemic Virus in the side deck just as an option tree to blow away the opponent. Also, we have access to, you know, good old Zero Boros in here. You know, the more cards that you can stack up on that banish pile from your opponent, the larger that behemoth is going to get, and that's going to create more problems for your opponent as they're digging for more and more outs, and they're like, you know, I can't actually set this up. Now, we also have Silent Graveyard down here as well. We've seen Silent Graveyard just showing up as a generic out to handle, you know, the BS that is your metagame. But yeah, Silent Graveyard, honestly, the side deck is very, very, very well designed for this. I honestly just like this deck in general. Who needs Mystic Mine? We can just activate good old Runic cards and end the game. Next up here is this is Eddie Strom's very, very basic. Man, we're playing a frog package in here. Excuse me? We've seen the frog package starting to show up in tier elements every blue moon. It doesn't surprise me that the idea has been catching on a little bit more. I mean, once again, just getting access to, you know, Sprite Elf can be devastating to the opponent. Like, that targeting protection that you get is so crazy good, man. I'll see that we are playing the Mischief down here in the side deck. It's one of the cutest cards to pull out against, like, a Sprite deck. Like, what's your opponent supposed to do when you just roll out one of the most devastating, like, disruption effects that you can actually pull off on a deck like that? The answer is they can't really do anything. Like, that's a sad part at the end of the day. Like, it's nothing. So, honestly, outside of that, Gigantic plays in this deck with the little swap package. All right. Next up here is our top 8 Sprite list. with a, yeah, we're doing Tri-Brigade shenanigans in here. So this is why Wind Up Kitten has been going up in price. Because a deck like this can pull out a beast-type monster that can bounce and interact with the opponent. All right. Basically, the Hoppier Squadron to be able to tune into the Herald is pretty stupid good. Obviously, the new Lightheart has become a pretty big mainstay in this deck. Do not underestimate the power that little Link 1 gives to this deck, because it really can close out games in a lot of ways. I don't think a lot of well, by close out games, I mean it makes your comboing up a whole lot easier. Looking at the rest of this extra deck, though, obviously on the turn 1 plays, you're going to try to do as much of your combo as you can. I mean, like Bear Broom to get to the Revolt Interruption through the opponent's turn. The fact that we're on 6 negates, like the 3 Chalice and the 3 Dark World No Mores. Thing is, this build can't really afford Droplet to disrupt the opponent as much as we would like to be able to, you know, Droplet with this. Every card in a deck like this matters all the much, and then, I mean, you just board break Shiraga Interrupt through the opponent's turn. Alright, like, seems pretty good overall, but I like what we're trying to accomplish with this. So good stuff for Top Cut. Next up here, we have another tier elements list. Oh boy. I tell you, man, all the tier decks are starting to look very, very generic at the end of the day. I do see the fact that we are playing the Dynamiscus trap card. You gotta love interruptions and just what you can do to upset the opponent. Also, it is technically a free revive on a trap card that you can bring back. Never really comes up. I also see that we're doing Bahamut Shark down here in the extra deck. Oh my gosh, you can actually bring out Toad the old-fashioned way. Just 2 big water monsters stuck together. Well, that's kind of interesting. Honestly, I don't see anything else really too picky about this list. Because so many of these tier decks, I mean, yeah, we're not playing the Danger Package, but like, all of the engines kind of blend together at the end of the day, and it is absolutely just a basic pile of cards. With that Bahamut Shark, I like that. That's kind of cute. Huh. Well, what other cool, good stuff do we have in store for us here? We have our Sword Soul deck here. Now, I know the first thing somebody's going to say when they look at this, I'm like, Mystic Mine? Come on, Robbie. You know darn well the Mystic Mine is the reason why Sword Soul is even getting the chance to keep up. Well, when your format's as garbage as, you know, it looks like, yeah, I can understand why something like Mystic Mine is going to be a clutch card for a deck like this. We also have Dark World No Mores in here, which means that you had 6 cards within the structuring of this deck to give this deck a chance to play within the metagame. Understandable. Standard triple Moe, double Tai, triple Long Yun. Your package of 10 Yi stuff is pretty normal as well. Run the triple facilitator for searching. I mean, nothing else in the main deck looks too crazy. I mean, Rivalry Warlords is going to be the main reason why this deck is going to also get the chance to run on the format. So technically you have 9 Floodgates. Plus, down here in the side deck, you have the Scythe to be able to bring out as well with Trap Tricks. So you can go first, do full combo, and then Scythe lock your opponent in a deck like this. I understand that doesn't necessarily seem fair, but if you got a Baron protecting your Scythe from like being interrupted, that seems absolutely insane at the end of the day. So yeah, Sword Soul actually took down a pretty big win here for Top Cut. And then we have, you guessed it, Mystic Mind Burn. Now this actually surprises me that we could actually see good old Mystic Mind Burn show up. So we are playing Ojama Token, or Ojama Trio in here. This, honestly, looking at this build to start things off, this is very, very standard for what we've previously seen for Mystic Mine. I guess the only real inclusion here is like a Dimension Shifter. A Dimension Shifter sitting up in a mono Watto to hide behind something like Mystic Mine. This is not a big surprise. Also, you know, Rivalry really has picked up a lot of steam in a deck like this. Like, the Floodgates are going to be the reason why, you know, a deck like this could actually do its job. Besides, you know, Mystic Mine, you need to have those oh crap buttons set up to be able to play the game. Like, it's not as good as it used to be, just to be able to slap it on, but like, you need those additional Floodgates like Rivalry, Macrocosmo, to make sure that whatever your opponent does is going to stick. Even like a Dark World No More to turn off your opponent's field so you can set up Mystic Mine to play the game. it's pretty good. So that is everything that I have for the Philadelphia regional breakdown. But what do you guys think about this 511 man event? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.